Good afternoon, everybody. I'm quite overwhelmed by everything that has been said here on the stage. I'm very touched by it. So I thank you, speakers, for your wonderful comments, trustees and past presidents for your support of Scripps College in the past and now, to my family, my parents for being here, my husband Dale, and my children Elena and William. They allowed me to completely disrupt their very happy lives just because I want to be here. I'm so thrilled that all of you are here with us this afternoon to celebrate this occasion. And I'm grateful to the students and the faculty and our guests for participating in all of the events this weekend. And I'm particularly grateful to the 50th reunion class that they were willing to share this very special reunion with my inauguration. Thank you. I also want to thank the Inauguration Steering Committee that was chaired by Binti Harvey and Shalane Colby, who envisioned this event, and then who led an amazingly large staff of people in choreographing everything that you have seen over the last 3 days. I'm sure that you will agree in saying that it has been executed perfectly. Thank you to all of you. I have to say, it was particularly special for me for Maya, Maggie, and my mom to take the stage, even though I'm pretty sure they all spoke untruths about my past. These are 3 women who have touched and shaped my life. But they also represent 3 different generations of women whose accomplishments, courage, and ingenuity reflect their times. They also are each examples of the way in which education can transform women's lives, the way it can empower them, and the way it allows them to support and promote other women. Maya's immigrant parents instilled in her a connection and respect for her roots, even though they were the only Chinese family in their Iowa town. And they promoted in her an abiding respect for scholarship and ideas. And these, Maya, those are the things that have propelled you. Maggie has spent her whole life being simultaneously criticized and rewarded for her sharp elbows. She has both gotten her way and she has paid a price, as women often do. She's occupied an overwhelmingly male world, and she's been the first woman who, on way too many fronts for me to count. And my mom, she's my mom. She has been a core of and a constant source of love and support for me and for my sisters, and now for her grandchildren. She also was so often in the role of being the first in her career, and she is someone whose love for the humanities and for philosophy kept her always focused on what she really valued. All 3 of these women, in their own way, brought me here to Scripps. It is the women like this in my life who make me so confident about how much women have to offer this world, and how the world has not yet seen all that we can contribute. They also help me know how key education is to the advancement of women, and how women's support of one another is necessary for our success. They've also shown me the way that the love of ideas, the strength of argument, that those things enrich both the self and the world. Over this weekend, and indeed over the last 9 months, I have reflected upon my own journey to Scripps, but also on Scripps's journey through the last 90 years. There are opportunities and challenges that shape our present experience, and there is a future that is yet to be written. Last year, at around this time, I was devouring every piece of information I could find about Scripps as I considered whether to join this community. In the course of my research, I discovered a sense of kinship with Ellen Browning Scripps, the publisher, the journalist, the suffragist, and businesswoman who founded Scripps College 90 years ago. In a biography about Ms. Scripps, Deborah Day described her as follows, quote, "She believed in education. She was an advocate of women's suffrage and women's clubs. Biology interested her. She abhorred discrimination and privilege. She favored temperance and world peace. Ms. Scripps invested in causes, institutions, and people that would create enduring benefits across generations. And she characterized her founding of Scripps as her most important work. And that is in the context of a lifetime of creating opportunities that broaden human knowledge. She came from an era where women were challenging traditional gender roles. They were pushing for their rights to obtain an education, pushing for the ability to vote and to work outside the home. She founded Scripps College on the idea that women deserve, need, and have a right to the highest quality education. In the early years, that spirit of reform found its way to every corner of this college. The curriculum was, as it is now, interdisciplinary. And at the time, that was novel and new. None of the traditional men's and women's colleges did that. And listen to this, half of the board of trustees were women. And we still maintain a board of trustees, majority women. That board of trustees fought to ensure that at least half of the faculty were women. Ellen Browning Scripps also dictated that the campus environment needed to be designed in a way that would facilitate relationships and collaboration through the use of courtyards and outdoor space. She knew that the roles and opportunities available to women had changed radically in her own lifetime, and she understood that they would continue to change. And as such, she did not dictate the details of the education, but she did indicate some values that should guide it. She believed that each woman should be able to create her own definition of womanhood, that women should be able to design lives that reflect their individual aspirations, passions, and experiences without discrimination or judgment. And we have ample evidence that her vision has been achieved by countless of our alumni. Let me tell you about just a few. There's Carlotta Wells, who's a class of 1939. She spent much of her career as an occupational therapist. She helped individuals with physical, emotional, and cognitive disorders to find independence. And at the same time, she ensured her own financial independence and encouraged other Scripps women to do the same. Then there's Norma Blair Gilmore, class of 1947. She's here today as one of our alumni marshals. After Scripps, Norma completed her PhD in education and has had a distinguished career in educational consulting and administration. She pioneered a set of assessment and therapy tools for use with children with visual impairments and delayed readers, and she continues to publish in her field. Then there's Susan Finley, the class of 1958. She is NASA's longest-serving female employee, and her pioneering work as a space engineering specialist helped land a rover on Mars. When I met Susan in Pasadena earlier this fall, she told the group of us gathered that really what helped her be a great scientist was the humanities core at Scripps College. Then there's Gwendolyn Reese, class of 1985, curator of music and performing arts at the Smithsonian's newest museum, the National Museum of African American History and Culture. These are just a few of the stories that show how the seeds of Ellen Browning Scripps, those that she planted 90 years ago, have consistently produced generations of educational excellence, academic and professional achievement, and societal impact. Now, in many ways, Scripps of the present faces an era of experimentation similar to that which preceded it in the 1920s. Shifting economic, political, and societal currents have led to a period of self-reflection and critical examination of the traditions, mores, and standards that have governed our individual and institutional behavior. Yet, I believe, Scripps' mission remains as relevant today as it was 90 years ago. Our mission is to educate women to develop their intellects and talents through active participation in a community of scholars so that as graduates, they may contribute to society through public and private lives of leadership, service, integrity, and creativity. In 2017, we find ourselves working harder than ever to address the challenges that confront us. There continue to be worldwide disparities between women and men in economic opportunities, educational attainment, health, and political empowerment. And we do this in the context where the society at large is questioning the value of higher education generally, and particularly of liberal arts degrees. Some raise questions about whether colleges can produce an environment where all can learn and develop, or whether, enmeshed in their histories, they're more congruent and comfortable for some students than others, and whether this leaves space for all the voices and experiences. Others raise questions about the extent to which students at liberal arts colleges are exposed to a wide enough set of views, or whether the acceptable range of thinking is too narrow. It is my strong belief that if there is any institution that is capable of proving the value of the liberal arts degree and reshaping the environment for that public debate, it is Scripps College. Here, we believe in the power of community. We value ideas, but not at the expense of the people that these ideas impact. And we seek an understanding in an effort to know people and to care for them and to produce a better world. Just as when Scripps was founded, we are developing in our students the ability to think clearly and independently and to live confident, courageous, and hopeful lives. Our students of today illustrate that perfectly. Take, for example, Christine Gao, class of 2017. She's an economics and politics dual major, minoring in Hispanic studies, and she's received a Fulbright Award to teach English in Malaysia. Or Meryl Tomey, also class of 2017, a molecular biology major on the pre-med track who received a Davis Project for Peace grant to promote awareness about mental health. Then there's Noor Hamdi, class of 2018, a politics and Middle East and North Africa studies major. She founded the 5C Refugee Advocacy Network because she wanted to provide concrete ways for students to make a difference in the lives of refugees right here in our region. Or Jillian Holzer, class of 19, an art history major whose research on the artist Michael Childers informed the exhibition of photographs currently on view now at Scripps Ruth Chandler Williamson Gallery, and I hope you will visit it while you are here today. While we continue to see Scripps' impact reflected in the accomplishments of our students, the world looks dramatically different than it did 90 years ago. And the college has wisely embraced change to ensure its ability to deliver an exceptional educational experience. Just some of the innovations that have occurred over the past 90 years include the addition of the W.M. Keck Science Department, the transition to the Elizabeth Hubert Malott Commons as the central dining facility on campus, the establishment of the LASPA Center for Leadership, and the addition of new majors like art conservation, environmental analysis, and media studies. And these all show the ways in which we can evolve to meet our changing world. Right now, Scripps, like many of the institutions in Claremont and throughout our nation, is faced with another opportunity for change. Some of you this weekend may have witnessed firsthand our students' passion for social justice, and it's reflected in their vocal activism for changes right here. These students are using their voices to advocate for changes because they want to make the Scripps educational experience even more fulfilling, enlightening, and life-changing for students from all backgrounds. And I appreciate their efforts, and in most ways, their underlying goals are my goals. All of us here at Scripps have been working, and we will continue to work to provide resources and support to help all of our students thrive academically and personally during their time here. We all want that. As we think about the opportunities and challenges that exist for today's Scripps graduates and the skills that they will need to successfully navigate their own futures, we recognize the ways in which we achieve our mission have to change because the context in which we operate has changed. To Ms. Scripps, education implied growth, and growth meant change and progress, not security and status quo. Scripps is positioned to meet these challenges. We will cultivate the next generation of scholars and leaders, and they will translate a rigorous liberal arts education into individual influence and global impact. Now, this may seem like a grand vision. For a college with fewer than 1,000 students, around 120 faculty, on just 32 acres and 35 miles outside of Los Angeles. But I believe we will accomplish it because we are a community of individuals who are eager to make a difference and who will not be limited by the status quo. As we embark on the next chapter of Scripps' legacy, the final decade of its first century, we are confronted with the question of how to live up to Ms. Scripps' challenge to us. Answering that question, living up to that challenge, will be an ongoing and evolving process, but must be guided by our aspirations and by our ideals. We remain committed to offering the best educational experience to our students. There are, of course, so many liberal arts colleges. We know them and we compare ourselves to them, and we share much in common with them. And yet those of us who know Scripps know that it has a distinctive identity, and one that generates pride among our faculty, our staff, our students, and our alumni. I've spoken to so many alumni over the last year who celebrate the lifelong friendships that they made here and the way in which their education supported and sustained them for decades following graduation. Our students savor the educational experience that offers them intense intellectual rigor in a collaborative environment. Our faculty fiercely protects Scripps' commitment to the humanities and a broad-based liberal arts education, and they understand and affirm daily the power of student-faculty interaction and mentorship. And our staff cherish the close-knit community and the ability to learn right alongside the students. For so many of us, once we have been touched by Scripps, we cannot forget it, nor do we want to. It forges an immediate and deep connection with others who know the special experience. Those who know that we have been here know the treasure that we hold and that we will keep with us for our lives. That pride in Scripps is a gift to this institution, and we will cultivate it and we will nurture it, not only in those who already know us, but those who have yet to meet us. Our strengths will beget strength. We will need to embrace and advance our very best features. We need to remind each other of them and to sing those out to the world. And embracing the best of Scripps, we will not avoid improvement. To the contrary, if we perseverate on the negative, we will be paralyzed by it. But by understanding what we do well, we can determine how we can do it even better, and we will motivate ourselves and support each other in getting there. One of the ways that we instill and nurture this pride is by attracting extraordinary students from so many backgrounds and creating a culture of belonging right here. In this next decade, we will continue to broaden our definition of a Scripps student and embrace the ever-expanding notion of roles, experiences, and opportunities available to them. Our image will not be of the Scripps student, but will be of the many Scripps students, each of whom has their own identity, their own path to Scripps, their own course to academic and personal development, and their own aspirations. And we will cherish and replenish that richness. We must note that there have been times that in the banner of advancing women, it has been carried out in a manner that has resulted in the advancement of some women and not others. Women of color, immigrants, LGBTQ, and lower income women have often found their interests and needs obscured by the broad priorities of the feminist movement and women's institutions. That cannot be our approach. We have been nourished by the wide range of individual backgrounds, goals, and ideas of our students, and our notion of Scripps must be large so that we can strengthen every one of those voices and imbue everyone who comes here with a courage, confidence, and hope. Most of us here know well the inscription beside Honnold Gate that begins, "The paramount obligation of a college is to develop in its students the ability to think clearly and independently." At Scripps's core, it will always be our goal to engage students in deep and critical thinking. And our vision in the coming decade will encompass innovative strategies to do that in an ever-changing world. Eleanor Browning Scripps spent a large part of her career as a journalist and a writer. And that is, of course, one of the many career paths that has been fundamentally transformed by technology over the last couple decades. Our students who will follow in her footsteps will perform the role of journalists in such a very different way than Ellen Browning Scripps did, even though they will have the same goals of communicating news and information. But they will have to do so by writing and editing stories within minutes rather than days or weeks, and engaging in real time with supporters and critics via social media platforms. At Scripps, we must provide an academic environment that makes good use of the way in which knowledge has changed and the way in which wisdom is developed, and this decade must be marked by ever-evolving pedagogy. Now, let's be clear, this does not mean that we will replace the intimate seminars so beloved by our students and alumni with knowledge dispersed through computer screens. We know here at Scripps that the deepest learning occurs through conversation. And we will seek ways in which to use new approaches so that we can take our most powerful tool, that face-to-face discussion, and do it even more and to an even better effect. Similarly, we know how our students' development is heightened by their ability to work on independent research while they are here, and we will continue to use the latest in technology and innovation to deepen and widen our student research experiences. The pedagogical innovations will be many, and this will be a decade of experimentation as it was during Scripps's origin. But our changes will continue to highlight the many ways in which students and faculty alike learn from one another through talking with one another, through arguments, through questions, through inquiry, and through listening. Our ability to situate the humanities in a current context, our expertise in women's issues, and our access to the rich social and cultural resources of Los Angeles provides an ideal conditions for Scripps to export its rigorous educational experience to a broader community and allow us to have impact on our surrounding region and engage and learn more deeply from what is happening right around us. The Scripps campus, as we all know, is a tranquil oasis. Yet it is also a gateway and connector to all that surrounds us. There have been times in the history of Scripps when we have focused our energy on what lies within the walls that surround so many sides of this campus. But the next decade is a time to not just gaze over the fence, but to open wide the doors that allow us to access the world outside and invite that world to us. In the next decade, we will engage the environment around us like never before. There will be more collaboration with the consortium, more involvement with LA County, more integration of the classroom education with the problems that face the world, more partnership with organizations who share our vision of a better world, and more engagement as a whole. I have laid out some principles that will serve as a guide during my tenure as president as I take on this very daunting task of steering this extraordinary institution toward its rapidly approaching centennial. There is no one approach that will solve all of our challenges. And similarly, no goal will be met by just one mechanism. Over the coming years, we will instead be focused and aligned around our ideals, and we will seek to fulfill them in all that we do. What this means is that students, faculty, staff, alumni, parents, trustees, friends, you all are at the heart of this institution, and we all are collectively responsible for making this institution all that it can be and achieving its extraordinary potential. I believe that our success will depend on our ability to seek to understand more than to be understood, to learn rather than judge, to forego self-righteousness in favor of empathy. We must be vigilant, aware, have high standards, and use our individual and collective power to push Scripps to its centennial. As we do so, I urge us not to shy away from what will maybe be difficult conversations, and to remember throughout that there is far more that unifies us than divides us. We share a desire to create an educational experience that produces and attracts tomorrow's leaders, educators, and advocates. Scripps students and alumni are living courageously. They are astounding history. They are disrupting their fields, and they are fearlessly plunging into life's greatest challenges. They are living Ellen Browning's Scripps dream. They are living with confidence, courage, and hope. Their stories and the stories of those who follow in their footsteps will motivate us and generate for us paths into the future, so that in 10 years, when Scripps College turns 100, you will see a Scripps that has learned from its past, that questions its present, and that is inventing the future. Thank you.